Hello, Tom Lemecchia here with the latest edition of Armchair BA, New Theory, and New Jersey Digest. We're mixing things up a little bit, and we have a very, very special guest who was on the show a few years ago. I'm content to call him a friend. Michael Franzese, welcome back to the New Theory podcast and New Jersey Digest. How you doing today, Michael?
I'm good, Tom, and it's good to be back with you.
God bless. All right, so we are going to jump right in. Okay, so you've been great. Your team has been great. We're going to do a giveaway. You're speaking at or doing a show at Resorts International, November 19th in Atlantic City. We're giving away 6 tickets or three pairs of tickets, I should say. The link is below. So sign up. Hopefully you can win. If not, make sure you buy some tickets. Michael will be there, obviously. Jason will be there. I'll be there. So we'll jump right in. So, Michael, first question. When your father was born in Naples, Italy, as we know, what was Cosa Nostra like when he joined?
Well, you know, my dad, as you know, Tom, he died at the age of 103. So
Yeah.
his relationship with that life goes way back to the 30s and 40s. I mean, he started out when he was a young kid in Brooklyn. My grandfather, Carmine, they called him Tootie the Lion, was very much involved. Yeah, he wasn't a made guy, but he certainly had a lot of relationships. He chose not to be made, but he had a lot of relationships. My father was around it from an early age. And you know, I think that's when it was something different, Tom. You know, the oath meant something to people. A lot of the old timers, they just thought differently. Many of them had immigrated here from Italy. So it was closer to what the mafia was really like in Italy than what it became here in the United States.
Good point. Now, that's my question. You joined, as I understand, in 1975. And that was probably, you know, a good 30, 40-year difference there with him. What was it like when you stepped in? How was it similar or how was it different to the organization you joined in 1975?
Well, you know, in many discussions with my dad, he never pointed out the differences, you know, from when he was coming up to when I got involved in the early 70s. You know, listen, Tom, I had a very idealistic view of the life when I got involved. I mean, I took the oath, you know, in October of 1975.
Wow.
And I had a very idealistic view. I mean, I looked up to a lot of the guys. You know, obviously my father at that time was my idol. I had a lot of respect for him. So to be involved with something that he was involved in meant a lot to me. And, you know, I took the life very seriously at that time. And I think there was a lot of good people. I had the benefit, I guess, of being around, you know, guys like Joe Colombo and Carmine Persico and people of that stature. So to me, it meant something. It was something I was proud to be involved in at that point in time.
Yeah. When I interviewed Sammy Gravano, and you know Sammy, he said Cosa Nostra is not a business, but a brotherhood, because businesses come and go. And I don't know, we all like Sammy and all, but sometimes you can't always trust what he says. Do you agree with that? Is Cosa Nostra not a business, but a brotherhood? Or is it more business-like, or did it become more business-like?
Well, listen, it's supposed to be a brotherhood.
Yeah.
You know, it's a whole subculture from everything else that exists. I mean, when you take that oath, you know, what we're told, if you betray your brothers, you know, you're going to die and burn in hell like the saint is burning in your hands.
Correct.
So it's treated as a brotherhood, a community of guys with, you know, with a common purpose. Unfortunately, business, you know, gets in the way of that because people are interested in money and power. And like anything else, you know, like our government today, when there's money and power involved, things get corrupted. Yep. And that's what I saw happen in that life. But initially, he was right. It is a brotherhood. It is something that you're supposed to honor and respect. And, you know, when I got involved, Tom, that was the exciting thing to me. It wasn't about making money initially. It was being part of a brotherhood where, you know, I got your back, you got mine. I was told anywhere I go in the world, you know, don't worry about anything. You'll always have somebody there to meet you and greet you. Don't ever worry about your wife, your mother, your sisters. You know, they'll always be protected. So those are powerful words among guys. You know, unfortunately, Was it always that way? I think we both know it wasn't, but that's what we think when we get in.
Got it. Now, Michael, I always said this, you and I, have spoke over the years, over email. We always kept in touch. You've been great about it, as we discussed before you jumped on. I feel you'd be successful if you were selling hot dogs, but you were wildly successful when you were in the life. What are some of the business principles you learned early on by being a Cosa Nostra member at the time that are still with you today?
Well, yeah, Tom, business is business. Whether you're doing it on the street, obviously you operate a little bit differently than you do when you're doing things totally legitimately. But business is business, and you got to have the same principles in order to be successful. I was fortunate. I knew how to use that life to benefit me in business, in both ways, both on the street and legitimately. And, what are the principles? I mean, look, you got to have integrity in business, obviously. I always told people, I'll tell you this, Tom, I used to have more people coming to me with business proposals and things that they wanted to get involved in. And I would always ask them, what's your plan? Do you have a written plan? Show me what you got in mind. And you'd be amazed at how many people come to you with a business opportunity and they don't even know themselves how they're going to proceed with it.
That's right.
So I always made somebody, no matter what, I said, I want your plan. I said, I don't care if you got to write it out, but I want to be very specific what you're going to do. Tell me what it is. And that's helped me now legitimately also. I always want to know what I'm doing and I want to think it out, well in advance. So, and I will tell you this, Tom, a lot of people have said, Michael, you're a brilliant businessman. You do things and you've been successful in both ways. Yeah. And my answer to that is I'm not a brilliant businessman. And I'll be the first to admit it. There's things that I don't like to do and I'm not going to do. But I think my benefit, my strong points were this. I always believed in do what I do best and delegate the rest. Yeah. I was always able to, oversee and manage people. I chose the right people to do the job, and then I was able to motivate them to get them to do the job well. And that was really my secret. Now, the other thing is I knew how to pick a good business. I didn't waste my time. I knew how to differentiate from something that would work and something that wouldn't work. So I guess those two skills, know what I'm getting involved in and pick the right people to do the job and then motivate them.
That's interesting you say, kind of delegating stuff, because when I had Sammy on, and I also talked to Ray Dalio, billionaire, $16 billion net worth, successful investor. When I spoke to him one time, he said the same thing, Sammy, and you said, like, hire people to do the things you don't know how to do or delegate it. I know it's obvious to everybody, but it's not in business. We do the opposite. We try to control everything ourselves. So looking back, right? And did you need Cosa Nostra to make those millions of dollars? And part two of the question is, does the man make Cosa Nostra, or does Cosa Nostra make the man?
Well, listen, the man should be making Cosa Nostra because Cosa Nostra is made up of men. And if those men don't perform right, if they're not, if they're not cut out for the job, then Cosa Nostra is not going to be anything. So the men should make Cosa Nostra. I think it's true in life of anything. The men create that, or the men make the position that they're in. They make it successful or not. Right. Would I have been a success without the life? I believe so, Tom. I mean, look, I had a head for business. Yeah. During my time in that life, I had successful businesses that really didn't rely on, me being part of Cosa Nostra. So look, I was very determined. I think everybody that has success in business, they got to be very determined. They can't be dissuaded by failure. Something doesn't work, you don't give up. You just look at it as a learning experience and you get around that. You try harder the next time. You don't make the same mistakes. So, there's certain qualities that every successful person has that makes them successful. And I think, I was fortunate that at least I had a few of them.
I like that. Michael, if somebody said to me, you know what, you get to ask Michael Franzese, well, I have one other question, but I got a few questions, but right now, what's the most important question I want to ask you that I can't wrap my head around, Michael, and you being now, a tenured guy out of the life, why did Cosa Nostra evolve into more of a white collar brotherhood, similar to the Freemasons, and then infiltrate and retain and control those businesses? I still don't get that.
Hey, what was that? I want to try to understand.
Why did Cosa Nostra evolve into more of a white collar brotherhood, similar to the Freemasons, and infiltrate and retain control of big industries?
Well, it's a very simple answer. It's because of the people that are chosen to be members. I mean, look, I'm going to lay it straight for you. In the Colombo family at that time, during my time there, we had about 115 made guys that actually took the oath.
Yeah.
Out of the 115, there might have been 20 of us that were real earners, maybe 25, maybe.
Yeah.
The other 90, 95 guys, they weren't capable of earning money. I mean, these were street guys. A lot of them were, thugs, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. I'm just saying the way it is.
Yeah.
And, they're not capable of bringing this to another level. They're really not. So, if you want to elevate to what you're describing, then you got to pick the right people to be part of it.
Good point. Good point. Jason's here as my partner. He's going to ask a few questions before we wrap up.
Michael, pleasure to meet you. It's
Sure.
Jason. I'm Tom's Ed McMahon, if you will.
I like that, Jason.
So how did you know it was over for you in the life? And let's go back. I like to talk about the business side. How can people who are entrepreneurs know when it's a bad thing and they just should, quit while they're ahead before they lose their shirt?
Well, again, you got to understand what's going on in the market, and you got to hear the people out. A lot of times somebody can have a good idea, but they're not the person that can carry it through. They look at something, they say, hey, I want to open up a restaurant. I think it'll work, but that's not the right person, So there's different things that you judge by. I mean, what's happening in the world today, what's happening in your own particular marketplace where you are in your community or whatever it is you're going to do. I think it's an innate quality that gives you the opportunity to see something and see it for what it's worth. And there's times when something could be great, but you just can't get involved. You're not equipped at that moment to get involved in something. I always like to be prepared if I'm getting involved in business that I can carry it through. And that's another thing. Look, there's a lot of things I'd like to be doing now that I think could be successful, but I'm just not in a position to do them. So, you got to be prepared, you got to be ready, and you got to be able to carry things through.
Right. And did you, towards the end, when you were in the life, did you see it? I mean, I know how things ended for you, but did you get a feeling on certain things that you should have pulled out of? Did you see that coming?
Oh, Tom, I saw, I don't know if this was Tom or Jason, but yeah, I saw it coming. Look, when they indicted me, I had been indicted by Rudy Giuliani, and I beat that case. It was a big racketeering case. If I didn't beat that case, I'd probably still be in jail. He'd have given me 50 or 100 years. But I beat that case, and that was right in the mid-'80s when all the racketeering laws were starting to impact everybody. When they indicted me on the second RICO case that involved this whole gas tax thing, I had no bail, and I was in MCC for about 6 or 7 months. And all the guys that were in there were indicted on racketeering cases. They're all going to trial. They're all getting convicted, and they're all getting 50, 60, 70, 100 years, 150 years. I'm the youngest guy out of all of them. I said, they're going to give me 300 years if I get convicted on this. And then I seen guys starting to, Willie Boy Johnson, I knew well, and a couple of the other guys, I don't want to mention all the names, and finding out that these guys were turning informants, I said, we're really in trouble here. This is bad news. And I really believed at that point that we were in trouble. And look, guys, I mean, I had 18 arrests. I had 7 indictments. It was only a matter of time before they got me. I mean, I was fortunate to beat a bunch of cases, but I knew I was too high profile. And if I stayed in the life, I was going down. And once you go down, you're going down for a long time. Life is over.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And you're doing a lot of things now. You got the speaking engagements, what you've been doing, since day one. You got slices, you got the wine business. How do you analyze your business opportunities now versus when you were in the life?
Well, part of my problem, and I'll be first to admit it, is I'm entrepreneurial. That's just my nature. And people come to me with deals all the time. And, my thing is I have to be selective. Yeah. We're creating a brand. We've been fortunate that the name is out there and the brand is out there now worldwide, because I've been all over the world. So I'm just selective with things that I believe will work and that will complement the brand. And we select according to that. And of course, you can't do everything, so you gotta be limited in what you get involved in. But the wine is starting to really take off. We're very, very happy with the outcome at this point. It should be a worldwide brand at some point. That's what we're aiming for. I got a television series based upon my life that'll go into production early next year. I've waited 20 years to do this because knowing the industry so well, there's a lot of crazy stuff happens here. But I felt that I had the right production company and the right team, and it looks like they're taking it the distance. So I'm happy about that. They got a stage play that's going to be a worldwide play that's also based upon my life. Nice. And all of these things should be happening next year, God willing. So a lot of stuff going on. And, I'm still writing books and doing the speaking, and, can't complain, guys. Things are good.
Yeah. And so what would an elder statesman such as yourself tell a 30-year-old Michael business-wise? Now, of course, avoid jail and all that stuff. But, an older man such as yourself, you can go back in time. You're 30 years old. You were making money. What would you tell a 30-year-old Michael what to do and what not to do business-wise?
I think, business, you're going to run your business the way you run your life. Yeah. That's how I believe anyway. Yeah. The person that you are in everyday life is going to be a reflection of your business also. And so I have so many people coming to me, guys, that with issues that they have both personally and business. And, I sit down, I got a series of questions that I ask them, but the best advice that I can give young people starting out or even in their 30s is, look, number one, who do you associate with? Who are the people you hang out with? Because that's going to say a lot about you and who you are, and that's how you're going to be judged. So I always tell them, surround yourself with the right people. You are who you hang out with. That's number one. Yes. Secondly, I ask them, who are you accountable to in life? Yeah. Because the path that you take in life is going to be directed by who you're accountable to. And the example I give them, I said, look, when I was in that life, I was accountable to my oath. I was accountable to my boss. And as a result, I was a criminal. Yeah. And I got involved in criminal activity and suffered for it. Now I'm accountable to my wife, to my children, to my God, and people that, trust me and expect me to do well. So, I don't want to make mistakes, and I try to really think things out before I move forward. So accountability and who you hang out with, I think, are two very, very important factors in your life. And you got to get that straight. And it's the same thing in business. Who you get involved with as a business partner or associate is very important. Yeah. Choose wisely. Don't let the money blind you sometimes. You got to be the right person because you got to live with this person one way or the other. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know the answer to this question because I've watched all your YouTube videos, but there's a lot of people in our audience who might not know the answer to this one. If you could invite anybody to dinner, dead or alive, who would that one person be? And I know you did an episode on this, so I know the answer, but you might want to change the answer. I don't know. But who would that person be, dead or alive? You could sit down and have dinner. And I'm going to give one caveat. You can't say your old man, okay? It has to be somebody else.
Well, okay. Let me give you a few people. I mean, first off, look, I think everybody knows I'm a person of faith, and I would want to sit down with Jesus of Nazareth. Okay, Jesus the man.
All right.
Yeah.
You have to get
I want to sit down.
All right.
I mean, I want to sit down. I would really want to pick his brain, and he's one person that I can really learn everything about life and the right thing to do. I'd also like to sit down with Paul, the Apostle Paul, because I get compared to him a lot.
There you go.
It shouldn't be a comparison between him and I, but people say that, and I'd love to sit down with him. And then going back to my old life, I really mean this. I would love to sit down with Frank Costello.
I knew that's what I was getting at. That was the episode I watched. He did one on Frank Costello, and yes, go ahead, continue. Wow,
well, to me, he was the model guy in this life. He just knew how to do it. I mean, they called him the prime minister. He had a good head for business. He knew how to get around politically and make the right relationships. He wasn't a guy that wanted to, get violent first. I mean, he had it down, I believe. So I would love to sit down with him, pick his brain. Going again back in that life, I'd love to sit down with Carlo Gambino. Really,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I respect what he did, for his family during that time. So those four people I named. I mean, I
like
can go
that.
on. I'd love to sit down.
I got more
I'd love to
than
sit
I
down with
had.
Billy Graham.
There you go. Your father being a Brooklyn guy, did he know Carlo?
Yes, yeah. I mean, I met him when I was a kid. We went over to his house in Massapequa. I don't know what was discussed during that time because my dad and him were talking with a few other guys, and I was sitting in his den there watching television. But yeah, I met him. It was no big deal for me at that point in time. I mean, afterwards I realized it, but early on I didn't.
That's insane. So guys, Michael, he called in. He's a busy guy. He wanted to come on and give away. He's doing a giveaway. He's coming with gifts. We're giving away 3 pairs of tickets, 6 tickets in total. I'll put the link below. Before we conclude, tell us about the upcoming talk at Resorts on November 19th in Atlantic City, Mike.
Well, yeah, just for the audience to know, I just finished a 16-city tour in the United Kingdom.
Nice.
And they were all dinner shows back then, but we had a great time. It lasted 2 months over the summer. And we had a great time. And I've been doing a lot of these dates at various casinos throughout the country. And look, we have a great time. I get on there. I talk about, my life story a little bit. I get into what the mob was really like. I consider the golden years of Cosa Nostra in this country to be the 50s right through the mid 80s.
Yeah.
And, between me and those are the golden years. And, we talk about various people that I knew, people that my dad knew, experiences that we had. We get into all of that, tell them what this life was really all about so that people understand, because there's so many misconceptions about the life that are out there. And then we do a Q&A. And I tell people, listen, you can ask me anything that you want. I've been asked everything under the sun. They won't offend me. And if I don't want to answer, I know how to take the fifth. I've done that many times. So that's okay.
Sure, I love it.
But, yeah, and then, there's the VIP tickets. We have a great time because we spend some time later. We sign books for people. We take photographs, and we just, it's kind of more personal, and the people really enjoy that. So it's a good night. People will enjoy it. If they're interested in this lifestyle at all, they'll get a bird's eye view of everything, and maybe some misconceptions that they had, I'm sure, will be cleared up.
That's amazing. So for everybody that is watching and also on iTunes and listening, there's going to be 2 links below in the description. One to purchase the tickets, right? The VIP, very reasonably priced. And also the giveaway where you can put your first name, last name, and your email. If you buy tickets and you happen to win, I'll personally cover it, and we'll give the tickets away to somebody else. Point being is we want as many people to see Mike. Mike, I'll get to meet you in person, shake your hand and look in the eye. And listen, we really appreciate you being on the podcast today.
Well, Tom, thank you. And Jason, is it, right?
Jason, it is, yes.
Yeah. Well, thank the both of you for having me. I appreciate it. And will you both be there on the 19th?
We will. We will see you there, Michael.
Excellent. And let's all have a drink together and have a little fun. I'll bring a bottle of Franzese wine. How's that?
Now you're talking about, just so you know,
not.
I do want to give a little plug for people that know I like wine, sometimes a little too much, but I know a little bit about it. He sourced this wine from a country and an area that has been the best kept secret for wine, I believe Armenia, correct?
That's correct.
And I know correct. I know a little bit about like the region and how you pervade it. And unfortunately, Jersey right now, which will be soon, will be available, but it's available, I think, up to 48 states. So if you're watching, odds are that you can order it. So order it, drop a link below on what you think about it. As soon as I get a hold of it, I'm going to do an extensive review. And Michael, I'm so glad you're in the wine business. I'm very proud of you for that.
Well, thank you. And, I appreciate it. And I'll make sure you get all the wine you can drink. How's that?
Be careful when you say that, because I drink a lot. Just kidding. Michael, thank you so much. And we'll see you in November.
Man,
all right, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Mike. We'll talk soon.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
Ciao.
You got it. Bye.